It's like professional.
Well, welcome to the show from Chevrolet, and it's not really Chevrolet, but we've got in the house. You haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, I have no, yeah.
Dr. Lowell, and we're going to have a good time right now. We're going to talk about
We always have a good time.
something very, very special here. And you know, I was going to uncheck this, but I'm going to check it back. We're going to start this one over so we don't run over it, and we'll just change the name. We'll just change it to Care.
And I was right. This is technology. This is like
different.
We're going to the moon.
How do you like our new dish?
I love it. I saw a picture of it, and the picture did not do it justice.
Anything, yeah.
Oh, I just get in here and go, oh,
wow.
Yeah, the dream is real.
It's
your dream is real.
Well, no, it's yours too.
Well,
you're part of it. Come on.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, that's true.
Let's not play it off.
That's true. That's true.
You know, you're all a part of this, and it's been real. It's been fun.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
And so we're going to make sure and make this a storyline incredibly good. But for now, we're going to talk about you, Mr. Lowell. Yeah. There's been a lot of things going on in your life as well as our life, and you walked in here, and I know you said, whoa. Everybody's been saying that. And we've got a lot of upgrades coming in here. We've got new equipment, all this new equipment. You've seen it back there.
Yeah, I did.
We're testing all this equipment to bring in all new equipment everywhere, bringing in new cameras, everything. But it's taking time. It takes a lot of work just to set it up, my word.
Well, what we could count on is your dreams become reality because you work at it.
Yes,
you
right.
You don't just leave it alone, sitting at a cocktail bar.
I was there. That's where we developed. And that's funny because you ever watch the Italians? They get a napkin and write things down. That's how this place was done. It really was.
Yeah.
I got to tell you the story after we get off. Yeah. How this really happened here.
Well, yeah, I like the location again. What you've got, just amazing space. And since I've left, all of this has happened. This is outstanding stuff.
It just came to be, and I'm going to tell you after we get off. You're not going to believe the story, how this came to be, and it was just incredible. I thought, is this intervention? It had to be. It just couldn't be no other way. I thought, wait a minute. It was all during Easter weekend, and so. And how's your wife? Everything going okay? And I heard a lot of things going.
Yeah, we've had some changes at the house. I don't need to go into too many personal details about it, but just say that she has challenges that she's attacking with both hands and heart. And I told her the other day, I said, you have to remember that your 60% is most people's 110.
That's right.
She's just a beast. But she has limitations now. As she said the other day, she said, my cognitive awareness is peaked between 8 and noon. And then I'm done. And I'm done with you. I go, oh gosh, that sounds personal. But yeah, so she's got some limitations. But that being said, a lot of great things with family from the standpoint of just growth. My second oldest grandson was in. We climbed Mount Sanitas.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, he was on his way to a wrestling tournament in Iowa City. So he's there now, and he's going to come back over the weekend. And we're going to spend another day together. I think we're going to probably go golfing. He's now got a golf bite. So kids are growing well. Everything's good. Knock on wood.
You know what's interesting though, Lowell, is you've returned. Rhonda was here yesterday. Everybody's
cool.
like showing up in here, and they're all bringing something to say again. And it's really nice to have everybody back in the studio. Like you said, a dream that morphed.
Yeah.
And with that being a segue into caregiving.
It's interesting too, because that's another piece that's happened to me. It's sad that you lose any family member, but my wife lost her father, and we knew it was coming. And not all caregivers know that.
That's right.
That the caregiving part kind of surprises them. We didn't have to be surprised. We knew he was going to be in hospice, and he passed away last October. But that was one heck of an experience to our topic today. Both hands, both feet involved.
And let's talk about this. We'll start, like I said, a segue right into it, because I've done the same thing with my mother. You stay there, you think it's just caregiving, feed, clean, bathe, this, that. No, there's all these variables, whether it be, if you get Alzheimer's or dementia, or if you get sick, you get bed sores, or
Mm-hmm.
if your mom or dad gets sick themselves, or whatever they may be experiencing. And with dementia and Alzheimer's, they tend to be really mean to you. And you take it at heart, and then it drives you into this area of heavy duty emotional progression where, can I take this? Just put him in a nursing home and leave me be.
Yeah. Well, you know from your experience with me, a lot of what the mental side of anything is my sweet spot. And yet it's very emotional when it's about family members and you have loss of capacity. Dementia is a loss of capacity to think through things, make decisions for yourself, remember key things, remember your face,
That's
the
right.
sound of your voice. And that becomes emotional, not for the patient.
That's right.
Not
for
the
you.
Yeah, it's for you. And that's where I know that I have to educate myself more on all the issues I deal with in my practice. But when it comes to caregiving, many people aren't given that resource to know what is dementia really. Are there different versions of dementia? You know, what do I have to do with the hospital bed, and why should I have one? And should I have a buzzer or a bell that they get to ring when they call me?
And then they size if they jump out of bed.
Yeah.
They come sliding down, hit the floor, and you can't pick them up.
Well, a limp body is very heavy.
And it's for a man too, whether a man or a woman.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And
yeah.
it's very, very difficult.
Well, and you know, when we start talking about caregiving, it's not just about you as a family member taking care of them. It could involve other agencies. You know, hospice is a big insured component. So hospice organizations. I did some research before coming to the show today about, you know, what kind of hospice care quality do we have available to us in Colorado?
And see, there's a lot that's missing for people. They don't know where to turn, and they don't know who to talk to. And then there's the component also of volunteers who will come and help
Yes,
you. That you don't know
absolutely.
about. You don't know who will come and just.
So we'll give some websites. I've got, you know, the state has some great information. Also, when you're looking at hospice care, or you're looking at just getting, maybe changing a doctor. A lot of times, doctor you had wasn't satisfying because they didn't say stuff to you and inform you about what was going on. They want to change doctors. All right, how do I do that?
Same with the nurses that come and visit, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes the
Oh.
nurses all of a sudden have a shift change of some sort, and I'm not going to be here no more, and your mother or father has gotten used to this. And they don't like the new one that's coming in, and they just want to fight it off, and they just give you.
Funny but scary. Sometimes the nurses know, or your family member knows the nurses more than they know you.
That's
They
right.
go, who are you again? And they know the nurse.
Yeah.
But that's insulting.
Yeah, it is.
Well, but you got to accept
And
it.
it hurts, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's those who lose their hearing, or they lose their ability to speak anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can't communicate with you, and so there's.
Well, and you touched on a couple different versions of Alzheimer's there. You know, we use the term dementia and Alzheimer's interchangeably a lot. And that's okay. I mean, it helps people understand it, because they both are sources of mental capacity, cognitive awareness it's diminished, or
It's
in
gone,
some cases
yeah.
gone. And so if you have dementia, you may not forget people's names. You just may be slower at getting there.
That's right.
Remembering a certain story. Hey, did you remember? Or you'll repeat things over and over again. Alzheimer's, that's still there, but the information base is gone, or
And-
big pieces of it are gone.
Now, here's the other thing for what you're talking about. Now, if you're staying at home with your mom, your dad, or even just partaking in just a part-time thing, you're still spending a lot of time there. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes it'll be at night that you're there, and they wake you up in the middle of the night. They have to pee. They have to change their.
That's kind of scary.
Some of them are with depends or some sort
Yeah,
of
yeah.
faculties that have just gone array, and you have to take care of this. And you know as well as I do is some of these things you have to deal with. It drives you crazy. It's like you're at 3 o'clock in the morning,
Teeth.
4 o'clock in the morning. Your teeth.
Teeth. They go, I had my teeth here. Somebody stole my teeth.
Yeah, and they get
No, they didn't. You took them out, forgot you took them out, and you put them in the garbage can because you thought that was where they were supposed to go. Now these, look, it's funny to me now.
Yeah, it is, but
in the moment,
yeah, but
not
a lot
funny.
of people who are listening right now can, ascertain all these things that are going on,
Oh yeah.
could go on, and what we're talking about.
It's also strategically. What can I do? What should I do? What should I not do? Don't take it personally. That's one big thing.
Now, let's kind of touch on that. Taking it personally because it's your mother, your father. They can call you bad names because they're having the
Yeah.
Alzheimer's just kicking
Yeah.
in, and it hurts your feelings. You almost want to say, "Oh, F you too," but you can't because they're telling you that. So
Now, what's interesting with that, the obvious thing is the memory's gone. They forget things. They get a little bit emotional. It's because it's out of control because their insides are churning about, I know something, but I really don't know it. And they're not saying that out loud to you. They're just thinking it through. And what comes back to you is this loud, aggressive, mean tone from your family member. What we need to be conscious of, we have 5 senses. So if you get a verbal response from a family member that's suffering from these difficulties, then touch their hand, touch their shoulder, because that is, they go, oh, and they stop talking.
And that's the thing, like I've also said, and I've heard this too, sometimes they just need a hug. You hug them, you touch them a certain way, they feel a different presence from you as opposed to the other ones that are around you, like the doctors, the nurses, the other people who come to visit for their caregiving.
Yeah, and there's a lot of studies, Henry, on when to give contact with somebody and how much. Like a hug is great, but be aware, maybe you start gradually.
Yes.
Even though you've hugged them in the past and they were great huggers themselves, things have changed. Their sensitivity to
They'll
a certain amount
slap
of it. Yeah, oh.
Sometimes they'll hit you.
Yeah.
What the hell? Some of the nurses get slapped across the face. You wonder, whoa.
Yeah, it's and look at even this can get to your choices of hospice centers too, because you want to make sure staff know that's going to happen or have had that happen, and you want to know, well, how do you handle that?
And it's funny you say that because some nurses are so well versed in this kind of thing, they know how to handle that kind of stuff. And like I was saying, if that nurse changes, like she says, my schedule is going to this other place and I got to go do these other things. This new nurse is coming and you think, oh no, that she's got to get used to my mother or my father, and they don't.
Well, and also add in there, when you go and evaluate hospice care facilities, ask them about how often do they do shift changes, how often do they rotate staff in to give them time off, because this is one of the professions that has the largest burnout of any career path. So it's not built for everybody. And just because you need a job doesn't mean this is something you should go work at if you're not prepared to handle the consequences.
And if you're the son or daughter or whatever, and you're taking care of your mom or dad, and then you have these caregivers who are coming to assist you while you go to work or go do whatever you have, like you're there most of the days, but you take 2 or 3 working from home days and stuff like that. You still have to depend on some of these caregivers, and they're kind of like sometimes not being there for you either. So it changes your direction, and so you have to be there 3 or 4 days. It starts burning you out quickly.
Yeah, and it's a good point about the difference, coming back to the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's. When you have dementia, you're going to have your moments, you forget things, forget people's faces. And in some cases, like my father-in-law, for example, he didn't care. I mean, he had such a great outlook on the rest of his life, which was literally on the downhill slide towards the bottom. And he would just say, I'm ready for this.
Wow.
It's gonna, whenever it comes, it comes. So I'm not gonna be too pushy about much of anything. Just get me my breakfast, my coffee, my bagel. Make sure you're there with my straw and my glass for lunch, my drink. But at the same time, by you listening to this person, you discover what's necessary for you to contribute to them so you can manage yourself as a caregiver, and you're not overwhelming yourself with too much.
You can overwhelm yourself so easily. You can your emotions, your feelings, everything about you, you can wear so quickly.
Well, it's physically draining. I mean, depending on the person.
Staying up all night long or something.
Well, my father-in-law was mobile enough, but he was very, very weak. So he had to be lifted up sometimes to help him to his wheelchair, then to get him to the bathroom and take him out of the wheelchair, support him. Well, that's like not full dead body weight, but it's close.
Heavy,
yeah.
And you could drop. You could slip and fall with them sometimes.
He couldn't have weighed more than 95 pounds.
Now, they start losing lots of weight because of their body functions and the type of foods they're eating. Plus, they're not moving a lot to get a lot of exercise.
Exactly.
So you start seeing a a downward fall of their body. They start getting real thin, and you wonder what the hell. You look at your mom or your dad looking like that, you think, what's going on here?
Well, and we're getting close to talking about what's the length of time it should be reasonable that my family member should stay in hospice care.
That's right, yeah.
And it's, if you're lucky enough to get hospice care because you've had insurance or you've got economic capabilities to have them stay at home to bring in those professionals on a periodic basis, that's wonderful. Not everybody has that. Others will have only enough to put them in hospice centers and have that taken care of for them. And then regretfully, some of them is just daycare stuff.
Yes.
Like you said earlier, 4 days I can do it, but 3 days I can't. Those 3 days, that's got to be an inpatient scenario because I don't have the money to have them come to my house.
And just for getting your own, particular, like if you want to get your own social life, that kind of, see, you chuckled, and that's true.
Yeah.
It goes out the door.
Yeah,
it's like I got to take care of mom. I got to take. Well, what happened? Well, so and so didn't show up, so it's got a shift. Well, we got a very important event to go to tonight. Well, that's out of the question.
Well, and regretfully, employers are not very sensitive to
at
all
all
this stuff, and which really bothers me. An employer will have a great hospice part of the healthcare plan for their employees, and then will be rigid about an employee leaving the workplace
to go help.
Went, oh, that's counterintuitive. It kind of blows my mind. I wish that there would have been more conversation about this, but I'm glad that it's coming from KUHS.
That's right. And see, we decided to do this because I've been hearing so much about it out there, and then somebody probably, they brought it forward. They said, you know what you should have? Just for an informative type of show, just one time, about this kind of thing. And there's all these people. There's this one group that started, and they're trying to amass all the types of resources that are available, so you can go to one place and find all these resources.
That's a great point to get done, because in just a little bit of research I did, I got frustrated. There wasn't one site. Here's the question. I wanted the ranking of the top 10 hospice locations in the state of Colorado. Well, I didn't get any direct addressment to that question. I got a lot of hospice places saying, "Oh, we're one of the top 10. Go come see us." Well, that's fine if I knew that they were okay. I just wanted. So then I started looking at ranking systems. How do they get a rating?
And that's even hard to get. You get a rating.
Nobody's going to come online and say we rank hospice care centers, because that's a
catch hell.
Oh, no kidding. How could you rate that? My grandfather's in there.
That's right.
Is he not safe? Well, he may not be. No, I shouldn't say that.
You know, it was really cool. I got to visit this big old huge facility, and it was half of it was hospice and the other half was assisted living.
Yeah.
And we rewired the entire building with a new server, new setup. And they went wireless with, it was really neat. They would go pushing the cart around, issue the pills in each place. But they would go in there and visit them, and then they would type in all this stuff in their iPads, and we set it up this way. Instant information to how everybody was doing.
That's huge.
And then the software that we added in there was to calculate how well it all sufficed together, like Alzheimer's in this section, all the other people with health issues in this section, people who were subjected to the beds or the wheelchairs or whatever in this section, and it all put it together, and I thought, wow.
Now, the state of Colorado has a fairly good site about this kind of caregiving things, and they define what is hospice versus what is palliative care, which is the one where they're okay but they need help.
That's right.
Kind of thing. And then you've got the assisted living, where you're there, they have food for you, they cook it for you, you pick out on the menu, but you're pretty much mobile and out there doing things socially. The information gathering for all those different levels is hugely important for the caregivers to understand. Oh,
the levels of.
Well, yeah. What medication is my grandpa on or my dad on? How often did they get out of bed today? Did my grandpa or my dad go play pool? Hey, did grandma get up and do the art class and the writing class that she wanted to do?
It's funny you say that. That's what we got to install all this stuff, and I thought, who came up with this brilliant idea?
But unfortunately, not everybody's that.
No, just that one. Yeah. Just that one place. I said.
Should mention their name.
But it was really neat to see. It was a new facility.
It
was 3 buildings. They were building another wing to the place, so we were installing in there.
Oh, nice.
And everything was remote, and it was like I thought, wow, what a great idea.
So here's a quick story about my mother-in-law. So she's she's still here, and she's at a extended stay / support living conditions in Chicago. So my wife gets a call, and her brother are on the list to be called. So he gets called first. My wife and I are at a function, so she picked it up later, and she calls her brother and says, "So Rob, what's going on? What's wrong with Mom?" Well, she's in the hospital. She fell down and hurt her wrist and bumped her head, and we think she has a concussion. So Diane decides, I'm going to call the caregiver. There's still a hospice person that goes and sees my mother-in-law every day, just to kind of hang with her, help her with a puzzle or this or that, and making some meals for her or whatever, because they can still make meals in their units.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls the lady, says, I'll use Betty is the name. Yeah. She says, Betty, where's my mom? What's going on? Well, what do you mean? Well, where is she? Well, she's right here playing Scrabble. So we went, excuse me? We just got a call that said she'd fallen and hurt her head and was in the hospital. Yeah. And we go, how did this happen? Now, this is the lesson about hospice. They're a great place. And this facility is really wonderful. But here's what happened. A trainee was on the service center for managing this stuff. And apparently when somebody goes down, a lot of people from the units go around and say, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? Before they can get the healthcare professionals in there, they want to help first. So somebody said her name. Oh, Friedel's hurt. Well, they then thought that was who was hurt.
Oh my gosh, and they sent the message.
Yeah, and they didn't check. And they all wear badges and wristbands.
Oh Lord.
So the system is there. Don't get me wrong, this is a great facility, but you've got to make sure that you have a little bit of latitude in your thinking, because they're dealing with lots of stuff, lots of influences from the crowd that live there. And so it was a very interesting story about how to handle that.
And that's really neat, because
evaluate
this place had, went into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Knowing how, I thought, wow, did they come up with a strategic method on how to watch everybody? And it was all wireless, and we set it all up. I go, wow, this is incredible. I
mean, we still need human contact, because we need human contact, but that systems approach helps everybody in the methods of giving care. All of the staff, family members as well, so you don't get so overburdened on things that don't need to be handled physically.
And like you say, the hard part is if they're at home, they tell you, I want to, like my mom says, take me home, that's where I want to die.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You heard me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Take me home. And okay, so the state wants you to set up all ADA handles, everything.
In this condition, yeah.
Yeah, so they come and check the house out. So you got to rebuild the house, $100 million, isn't it? You got to change it up.
You got gold handles?
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling you. You got to really change it up. So, and then after that, you got to get the hospital bed in there. You got everything set up. And like you said, you got to have those alarms attached to the bed for. They slide out of bed, you can't tell, and you look over there and they're on the floor. Like you said, dead weight is the most difficult thing.
Very heavy.
You gotta go get the neighbors. You gotta go get somebody else.
I get accused of dead weight all the time. No, this figuratively speaking. But to your point about the equipment, if you're home based with the hospice care, it's wonderful if you can do that. Not everybody can do that. The bottom line for me is making sure when you're looking for it, that you have the courage enough to look for it early. We knew, because of what my father-in-law went through health-wise in the hospital, the doctor's reports, we knew what was going to, how it was going to progress. And he made his own calls. He's the poster person for leaving this world, and it is because he wore what he wanted to wear, he ate what he wanted to eat, because he didn't have an appetite anyway, but he did what he wanted to do. My point is to you is when you're looking at facilities, make sure that you're doing it in relationship to who that person is in your family. What do they want?
That's right.
My mother-in-law did a great thing. So he had a green bathrobe he wore all the time, even before he really needed any help. Loved this green bathrobe. So the green bathrobe obviously was the outer layer of his whole wardrobe during the day, and there was pajamas and the slippies that he wore. So he was buried in his green bathrobe.
No, sir.
Yeah,
sir. That is a cool story.
Yeah, he loved it. And the other piece was he loved to wear white button-down shirts and blue jeans to his business. So that was what was underneath the green bathroom.
That's slick. I
Yeah,
like that.
he
I
was-
like that.
yeah,
So-
she honored him. So knowing who you're giving care to is important all the way through the caregiving process into their hopefully lovely and pleasant parting from this
And the
world.
parting is also incredible. So some people, you know, they take care of their mother, their father, and everything, and they know when the time is coming because
Mhm.
the hospice people let you know about the marbling gurgle sounds that
Yeah.
you make, and you know that just by looking actually and watching the breathing and all the variables of when it's about time. So some people come and want to hang around, stay all night, stay day and night, and nothing ever happens. As soon as everybody leaves, a single person that's the caregiver, they die on them.
Well, especially if you're hospice, you've got to designate who's
That's right.
going to be there.
That's right.
And they get called and they come in. Now, if you're at home, you can have a whole crowd there.
And then everybody leaves, and when everybody
Yeah.
leaves, they pass away.
Now, there's cultural differences that I've experienced with families that they want to have everybody around, but they're very private in any announcements. So, like for example, I have a next door neighbor. Regretfully, she lost her husband to cancer, to spinal cancer. And fortunately, I mean, he was emphatic. I want to be at home. I'm going to die at home. So she was in the process of moving this huge wooden frame from their bedroom to put in a hospital bed.
Oh Lord.
They wanted to put it down the basement. I helped them, and anyway, their daughter was at wit's end trying to move this stuff. So I helped them with that. But they were very, well, I'm so grateful that you're here. I said, oh, you just call. You call anytime. They were really reluctant bringing anybody in to help.
Yeah, like you said, the cultural differences.
Yeah.
In some families, they don't want to have anything to do with this. Stick you in a nursing home, stick you into hospice, and when you die, call us. You know, it's like then there's the, you know, like certain other types of families and cultural differences. You got to be in the house, dying in your own home, in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Like
And
you
then
said,
party
with the
on.
road- and then party on.
Yeah.
It's true. It's celebration of life.
Oh, I've been
Yeah.
around cultures that's
After it's done, they party.
Yeah, there's no sad faces.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're disrespecting the person who just passed away.
That's
Because
right.
that's what they want. Now, I'm going to have that, but I won't be around to celebrate with it. But I'm going to emphatically say, party on, Garth.
Make sure. Party on, Garth.
Just, make sure. And they have to play that movie too.
I got you.
In the background.
Play in the background.
Yeah.
I want to be
Party
there.
on, party on.
I
Yeah,
want to be there.
Yeah.
And it's true, Lowell, we talk about this stuff, and we're talking openly about it because this has to be discussed, and this kind of discussion you see hardly anywhere.
Well, because and here's why I agree with Henry on this one about talking about the realities of it. Because we need to push businesses that have employees that are offering certain things to step up and honor their absence, because they're honoring their family. So if we talk about we have a family here, our culture's a family. We're here where we work. Well, then you don't act like it.
Where are you going? You're going to take 2 days off or what?
It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, airlines, for example. Remember the day when the airlines took away the bereavement fare?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, just what?
What? Yeah.
So we have. This is important to bring out information like this, so that the awareness is high enough, so that those who can support do, and it's not just a matter of talk. You know, they're just talking words that don't mean anything, and that's unfortunate, especially in this particular case, where you're giving care to those you love, and then you're there with them in the bereavement process when everything ends for them.
And the thing, like you're talking about, near the end, I think whoever's there the most or doing the caregiving the most is about ready to go into the insane asylum because they've done so much. Their emotions are sky high. Their body is so wore out from staying up all hours of the night because we're getting to the end and watching over this. You know, sometimes you have to give them drugs or you have to give them painkillers, which is to keep them from hurting so bad.
And you should know, I mean, you already know this. When they give the pain meds in the hospital, they will then, with hospice's guidance, draw back on the pain meds because they won't transport them at a certain level of medication.
That's right, yeah.
So be aware of that because not everybody gets that message.
And they don't. They get upset when they hear about it.
Exactly. And so, like my next door neighbor, he wanted to emphatically, he wanted to die at home, and they were going through that morphine change, the dosages, so that it got to the right level so they could transport it. Well, I guess the blessing, or regretfully, he passed away before going home. But it was quiet. It was what he had kind of wanted. His family members were there. It's the consciousness you have to have is what wears most people out the fastest as the family caregivers. All those things you need to know, but you don't really know
until you're involved, until you're in there, and it's in your court. You're the one.
Surprise!
Oh my God, will it take you apart? You know, with my mom, we were doing the morphine, and we had to increase. She had a congestive heart failure, and she's going to die. You know? Yeah. Doctor said we can't operate, and it's just what it is, you know. So we watched her as she progressively got worse and worse, and you know, she would start seeing things. You know, I thought, I don't know if that was a drug. She'd wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, all the time. Who is she talking to? Yeah. And it will scare the heck out of you. You know, it's like, where is she at now? You know, but I kind of knew where it was going already. You know, because they're spiritual, and you know, they like to, you know, be who they are. And no matter how you try to help or get in there, they just look at you. They don't recognize you half the time. Like,
because they're in the moment. They're in that mental change of venue in their head.
I like the way you said venue. Yeah, it's true.
They're with Elvis. I don't know, wherever they're at.
They're gone. And so the morphine contributed to all this, because she had dementia, contributed to the failure of recognition and all of other things, you know. So, and it's just wearing on you. You miss 2 or 3 hours of sleep, a half hour, whatever it may be, trying to take care of her. Now, I'm a male, she's female, and still having to take care of...
And you're her son.
Yeah, and that's what's hard. But I've developed a plan on how I could do it, where she keeps her privacy, but yet I took care of business, you know. So, but it was just draining me to all beat hell. I even called my sister and said, can you come and just relieve me 1 or 2 days, please? Yeah. She goes, no, I'm too scared.
Well, yeah, and
she was frightened.
You got to honor that. I mean, it's real.
Yeah, she was frightened to death about doing this.
We were so lucky. We had planned a trip to Chicago, and we knew we didn't know what was towards the end or not, but he still was not in very good health. And we got there on a Friday afternoon, and the minute I walked into the foyer, the smell told me we were near the end.
Now let's talk about that. I had some people talk about. The smell is horrendous. The smell is different. It smells like death.
Definitely different.
Yeah, it smells like death. I go, well, you're going to have to deal with it. Buy you some candles that are scented, and you use a different. Yep. If you have to put
those plugs in
or something under your nose.
Yeah, that Vicks Vapor is awesome.
Got a chunk of Vicks on your nose.
That being said, though, I had more than my fair share of experiences working in the hospital. And I worked in a number of different wards, and I was the gopher guy. You know, I was the orderly, basically. I took care of anything and everything. Whether it's spilled, you had to pick it up. In both cases, you had to pick it up. But I knew those smells. So I didn't have to make any changes in how I was going to respond. But I need to be aware of my wife, my other family members.
They
didn't
understand that.
Well, it was really. Not rancid's not the right word, but
that is kind of
it sits in the air really heavy.
Putrid.
Yeah, and if you have any other bodily fluids that are influencing that, it just gets layered on. Because you've got the naps underneath their sheets and stuff on the bed, and they get urine soaked. So it's it's an interesting thing. Now, for us, I knew that, and I said, Diane, you need to go and see your father. And so she did, and she came back out, and I kind of knew what she was going to see, and she said, it's not good. I said, well, let's get ready for it to be the end, because I think, and I went in and I checked respirations, and the sounds you mentioned earlier, the gurgling stuff, that was present but inconsistent. So it's nice to have the knowledge. You don't have to, but you should be aware. Oh, okay, I'm hearing and smelling something different. I better call a nurse. I better bring in whoever.
Or I better be prepared for when the final time comes.
So the other thing is that when they do pass away and they're homebound, the hospice person and the caregiver are the main players. Now, in this case, we made an oversight here. My mother-in-law, his wife, was the caregiver.
Oh, Lord.
She's not capable. She on the paperwork with the hospice. So the hospice nurse that came, she quickly understood with our little exchange we had that I knew kind of what I was doing. It wasn't a first rodeo for me. And so I was there moving his body, shifting his frame, because they have to go through an agenda
Right.
with the whole thing, or you don't get to get on the gurney to go to the funeral home. Isn't that, you can't get in the taxi. I have the fare right here.
But you got to go through these processes.
Yeah, and it's checking, we know they're passed away, but they need to check with the stethoscope. Are you breathing? Check the heart, everything, all the way down the line. So, and then there's a physical examination. Right. Which is where you and I, as sons and daughters, will have a. I really, I don't.
You know, and you just like, oh man.
Yeah, and some hospices do this, some don't. They take a hair sample, in most cases a pubic hair sample, and it's for DNA testing.
Right.
To confirm that it is you.
Yeah. And so we had hospice go through all that. The nurse did that. Then who also did some of it was the coroner. Or they did just a few things. And I thought, what are you doing?
And depending on the funeral home, it may not be a coroner, but it's an advocate for them.
Yes.
So they're doing stuff when they come in.
This is actually for my mother. They did bring in the coroner.
That's good.
It said coroner on the truck.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. And that's state by state different.
Yeah, and so it was pretty slick, and they took care of it quickly, and they wanted me off the way. I go, hey, just let me say my goodbyes. I know, Mr. Archuleta, but we have a job to do, and we got to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And it's true, because rigor mortis, all the stuff, the stench even gets worse, and they're dead as a doornail, and you can't do nothing to bring them back, and they want to right away get them, wrapped up and taken out.
Yeah, so and they don't have a lot of time to say anything to you, but understand from my experience tells me they are doing it to make your life easier in that moment.
That's right.
Do it as fast as they can, emphasizing, hey, this is a structure that's strategically implemented by law.
That's right.
And we have to get it done. But they don't say those words because they don't think that it's essential for them
to do their job in that respect.
Yeah, because it could sound harsh if they talk
and they
that
do.
way.
They thought they were talking harsh to me.
Yeah.
I felt like they were, because you're getting pissed because your mom just died.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, and they're doing their best. And then you've got the funeral home that comes in after that. In some cases,
let's talk about some of the families that get involved and be horrendously mean. You're not doing a good job with mom or dad. Well, you're not even here. What are you talking about?
Here's the one that I've heard routinely. Why are you touching them like that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have much of a choice because this is the list I have to go through, and that's associated with the body part I have to touch, and the way I'm moving him is as quickly as possible, because if I don't, I won't be able to sooner.
And like all the other family members, they're not taking care of, they're not being a caregiver or nothing, but they all have suggestions or thoughts, but yet they're not there doing it. That's what I was telling you. It's like,
yeah,
they don't know unless they're in that position and they're the one what it's like to do caregiving.
Well, and here's a time measurement for you for family members that may not be there right away, and then you show up within the first 4 hours of death, which again you haven't got it confirmed, but we can backtrack and know that okay, about 4 hours ago is when they died. That's when you have the opportunity to reposition their body in a way that you want them to be looked at in the coffin, because whatever way you position it, that's going to get stiffened up in that way, and they have to put the clothes on that you want.
And that's what the coroners are trying to make a point to me. We have to move with the body quickly.
Exactly. If you want these other things, you better get out of my way.
Yeah, and I didn't understand it.
Well,
and after they left, the hospice lady came and spoke to me, Henry. You got to understand, there's a few things here that are relevant to moving her body and getting it, taken care of.
And yet your feelings are real.
Yes.
I hope they didn't discount your feelings. Yes.
Oh, they didn't.
You deserve to feel the way you're feeling,
but you got to get off. They told me you got to step off the way.
Yeah.
And I understood. It's like
it's a process.
And like I said, the family members. That's where some family members. You messed up. Yes, because of you. What? Well, that.
Well, I've actually had. This is way back when I was a coroner's. I was the lab tech for the coroner, so I did all the pre-operation body. I'd open them up.
Preparation.
Yeah, I do all the prep, and so I was. The morgue was really close to the lobby of this hospital, small Iowa hospital, and I walked out of the door and it says, "Is my dad in there?" I go. I first thought was, I'm not sure I should even speak right now. I said, "Sir, I'm not exactly know who you're talking about. and so then I took the next step, says, what's your dad's name? Because I know, I
Yeah,
have it
yeah,
on a
but-
record when
yeah.
it's in there. And he said his name. I said, well, yeah, he is. I'm not quite done yet. Well, done with what? What are you doing? And so
it really infuriates
yeah,
him,
so I got rescued. Coming down the hall was another family member, a sister, daughter, something, a female came down the hall, and she says, my father-in-law is really in there? He goes, yeah. Well, he doesn't like he doesn't like closed, tight spaces.
Oh my
I said, so she said, you think we should really bury him?
Oh,
So she's using humor. She's laughing,
yeah.
but it defused the guy that was like getting amped up.
When somebody dies, you get really amped up. Like you said, your family member died, you get really upset. It upsets you. And like I said, some of the family members will come after you while you're caregiving and treat you like you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, well, why don't you get your butt over here and take?
Yeah.
Oh no,
Here, would you like to take this sample? You could do the sample. Come on.
They do this.
Yeah.
Anytime you need me, call. Hello, you want it? Oh, well, I'm busy. I'm working 70 hours a week. It's like, okay, you just asked me if there's anything I need to call you. I'm calling you.
You know, it's interesting how both birth and death can give you such a great insight to all different kinds of levels of your family members. You know, how you respond and how you talk.
Birth and death. I like the way you brought in
Yeah.
birth.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You want to take care of my baby, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, because all that exhilaration about birth is exciting, right?
Yeah.
Until the father realizes, oh, they just crapped their pants. And I gotta take, oh gosh, am I ready for this?
Yeah, it's the same when they're old.
Yeah.
Like young and old, it almost works identically.
I said to my son the other day on the phone, because he sent his second oldest down to see us on his way to the wrestling camp, and he said something to me, and I said, well, I'm going to come visit more often so that you get more practice at handling me as the largest kid you've ever dealt with. I said, Dad, don't talk like that.
No.
Don't.
Yeah.
I said, I'm serious. You
No,
need
we-
practice
we-
wiping people's butts.
Yeah, you mean you have a good time at throwing that at them. So
Yeah.
It's good for them. They look at you like,
What?
yeah.
That's really going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. You better get a glue on this one. Yeah, it's really great.
caregiving. Caregiving, and you gave us a lot of your insight on your side, a little bit on my side, a little bit about what's out there. What's nice to know is KUHS is offering this kind of a show to talk about it, and I know all those who are listening are thinking, yeah, my mom, or yeah, I'm having to do this, or I should tell my sister about this. That you're not the only one out there. There's plenty of people who have experienced this type of having to care for your mom or your dad all the way to the very end, and even watch them pass away.
And you'd be surprised. Don't be vulnerable enough to share where you're at with this process. If it's not your cup of tea, you're not gonna be able to participate much other than just condolences, showing up at funeral. Okay, fine, that's great, but let that out right now.
That's right.
Don't hold on to it and surprise us when we need some help.
The way you put that.
The other part of it is be as equally vulnerable and open with, I can do this, I can participate in this, because you don't need the conflicts in the moment between brothers and sisters, cousins, uncles, aunts about, you called me, but I'm working for the next 5 years.
Or you're just screwing up. You're making mom upset, and you don't do nothing right, and that kind of stuff can be
exactly.
also damaging to the caregiver, because of the emotional setback they're enduring just from caregiving, and then they're getting that kind of feedback from their siblings and their cousins, uncles, brothers, lovers, mothers, sons, whatever.
It should be a behavior set of win-wins, because you're going to have a loss here pretty soon. There's no sense in perpetuating the severity of that loss, the emotion of that loss, by having win-lose scenarios with family members. Be upfront. Tell them upfront. Front load your expectations right off the bat, so that nobody takes off thinking, oh, they said they would do it, but they're not. Or I thought they were going to do it, but then they said they can't. Well, get it on the table so you can have a good plan.
And like I said, you said it right earlier, just a few minutes ago, about you're just going to show up, my condolences, and that's it.
I'm done.
There's a lot of people who just do that. Then there's those who, like I said, they just come down on the caregiver, like if you're not doing anything right, then the caregiver says, well, come and join me. Oh,
No.
I can't. You know,
That's a quick way to get them out of your face.
Yeah.
But you're still left with nobody,
To
no more
help
help.
you.
Yeah. So there's very little opportunity for positives when you think about the end result here, except that you have the opportunity to do your best during the process of giving the care to your family member in whatever conditions are presented for you. And that is, I mean, that's such a great blessing for yourself. Say, man, I did my best. I put my feelings out there. I told my family exactly what I was going to do. They took advantage of that in a good way, and I really feel good about that. And that, from personal experience, and Henry, you could probably attest to this as well, you're going to feel a lot better during the wake, during the funeral procession, because
you did it.
you did it. You were there.
And you know, Rhonda said this to me. She said, exactly this. You're the one who feels the best of what you did to make this transition for your mother, father, whatever it may be, into their next life or whatever, wherever it goes. And you get to stand strong where everybody else who denied the fact or did not want to help or told you off or whatever, they have to sit and waddle in their own crap that they dealt you.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there strong and happy because you followed it through.
Well, and you're making a point. You mentioned earlier about my kids, your kids. We kid around with them. We push them a little bit. And they go, "Oh my God, that's so cool." But on a serious note, the more that they can engage in those conversations and accept the reality that we're not perfect and we don't live forever.
That's right.
And if they can get the lessons early, they're going to have a higher quality of life as they live through their end.
And understand it better.
Well, exactly. And it's through the understanding that they get this kind of, yeah, I got this. Now, here's the part that I emphasize to my athletes all the time is you got to live in every moment. You'll get one shot at making this moment perfect. Now, tomorrow, you don't have any guarantee you're going to have that same moment again. But you got more moments.
That's right.
To make up for what you screwed up on this last one.
It's true what you said. Time changes things, changes progress, but sometimes it doesn't progress in your way. Tomorrow you may hurt yourself. Tomorrow something may go wrong, and you miss that moment. And like I said, even in caregiving, you miss that moment if you didn't help, or if that was your mother and there's 5 siblings in the family and only one stepped up, you missed that moment.
And I don't want to miss this moment. Let me make sure I honor what I said earlier. I'll give you a website for the state of Colorado. I'm not going to put any names of hospice caregiving places out there. You can discover who they are by just looking at this Colorado site. And that's www.sos, and that's Secretary of State, state, duh. So it's sos.state.co.us, and then you're going to do /. That's the one that goes to the left on the downside and high on the right. I don't remember that. All right, and it's Colorado Register. Colorado Register. It's all together. So I'll say it again: www.sos.state.co.us /Colorado Register. Great document. That'll get you a huge PDF from the state of Colorado, Secretary of State, that talks about every single statute that relates to caregiving for your family members when you use hospice care. In most cases, you're going to use hospice care, whether it's from the hospital or you have something outside of the hospital because you want them to, have end their life here at home, or any other types of the hospice care. Very comprehensive, and then it gives you other insights onto how to find a hospice center that's going to make good for you.
And with that being said, segue into saying goodbye for the day. But Lowell,
yeah, it's good, man.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome to have you back here.
Yeah, good to see you.
I thought of you. You're the person I thought about helping out with this caregiving, because we both have been into this role and caregiving for our family, and kind of give the audience an insight of you're not the only one out there. So if you're being subjected to that right now, feel free to get a hold of this website, find out what all is going out there. And we know there's not a lot of help. There's such a low value of help out there in caregiving, so you got to do the best you can. But remember, from start to finish, when you come to the very end, you will feel so good within yourself.
Can you just imagine how much better our world would be if we really knocked the ball out of the park on being caregivers?
That's right.
'Cause we kind of suck at it right now.
Really horribly, yeah. A lot of other countries do it differently, you know. The United States created these things called, you know, nursing homes and stuff like that. And that's all they do. It's just, we don't know what they do in those nursing homes.
I have stories I'm not going to share
I
here.
know,
If they're not good, they're not
None
good.
of them have been good. Even the funeral homes, look what's happened to 2 or 3 of them.
Yep.
And so you see all kinds of things that go wrong. But if you go become a caregiver, or if you're one right now, our prayers are with you, our hope and love is with you. And I hope you enjoyed this show by KUHS Denver. And our guest, Dr. Lowell Whiteman, he's been here before. He's always been with the KUHS, so he fit right in. But he
Thanks, man.
fit right. He had to come to the new studio.
Yeah, this is great space.
It looks gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful space, and it grew. It morphed. And so, with that being said, I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we'll get on with some music and turn you all loose. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Lowell, for coming on.
Thanks,
down.
Henry. Good to
Okay,
see you, brother.
See y'all later.
That's good, Henry. My condolences on Mom.